This video might change your life, and the reason for that is simple. Over the last 3 years, I've built a business as well as improved myself. And through that time, I've gone through the hardest periods in my life. And I hope by this video, I can give you the most valuable lessons that I learned so that you can save yourself that pain. And hopefully grow faster and learn from my mistakes. So that being said, I wrote down some of the points, and the last one is going to be the most important one, so make sure to stick till the end. I don't do this for watch time, by the way, or likes. Make sure you can give this a follow if you want, but I think this is truly for you to hopefully make more money and save yourself a lot of pain. So, speaking about pain, the number one point is pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. And I've referred to that quote hundreds of times throughout the last 3 years. And the reason for that is you choose what pain you want to go through, because you're gonna have to go through pain anyways, though the suffering is a choice. So let me give you an example outside of business first. Eating healthy, right? You might just say, I'm just gonna eat junk food, eat what I want, right? But then it's gonna pain in the aftermath, right? Where you're gonna be obese and you're gonna have a hard time walking, you're gonna have health problems, but then you're gonna suffer from that pain, right? Because you will be restricted, and even worse, that it is your fault, right? Compared to you working out and maybe restricting and paying attention to what you eat is painful as well. Like, I do it every day. It is painful to have to work out every day, have to pay attention to what you eat. You can't eat ice cream en masse, but you don't have that suffering. And the same thing goes in business and in life. You can choose your pain, because you're gonna have to go through pain either way. But you can choose a pain where the suffering will either be low or not there at all, right? And this is, I think, one of the key lessons that I learned. And so when it comes to business, doing the hard work, because by doing that, you'll be able to quit your 9 to 5, which is also painful, but also cause you suffering, right? So pain is everywhere, and everyone goes through pain, but suffering is a choice. So the second one that I've learned, and this has truly been one that my students have struggled with the most, which is your why is your endless fuel. And what I mean by that is, we speak of motivation and consistency, discipline. All of those are just buzzwords, because to be fair, it's kind of like a time horizon. First you're motivated, and then unmotivated, and there's already where most people quit. And then you have consistency, where basically you're consistent, so it goes from motivating to being consistent, and then it becomes to eventually a habit. But like in the point before, there is pain in all of that, and you won't do that pain. You won't do the same amount of work, like producing content, or for example doing cold calling or whatever business task you might have to do. You won't do it if your why isn't big enough. And that's why the same thing, I've never stayed consistent with content, because I didn't even know why I was doing content, right? I was just told that I can get clients that way. But looking at this video, I don't even care about that, right? I do it more because I want to share what I've learned, because I feel that's one of my duties in life, is just to help others, right? And I think that's the best way I can start today, is just give you what I've learned, right? So figure out your why, and the best way you can ask yourself is, why am I doing this, or why do I want that goal, right? So number 3, it doesn't take a lot of work to be successful. It takes a lot of personal development, and people don't understand that. And so, for example, you then have testimonials or other people getting clients super quickly, or the business taking off in no matter time, and you're like, damn, why can't I do it? And I will tell you a little story of a woman from Australia. She had been working for a long time before starting a business. And she took her business from zero to $1 million in cash collected in 7 months. Which, for most of us, sounds absolutely crazy, right? Because you're like, well, I've been in business 3 years and I still haven't made my first million. Well, the thing I didn't tell you is that she had been working in marketing for 15 years prior to this. So collectively, she had spent 15 years and 7 months to make $1 million. Right? And now when you look at it that way, it's not that crazy anymore. Right? So it's really important that you understand that firstly, your perception of what a lot of work is not really true, because in the end, it just took her 7 months of actual work to get there, right? She started her business that time, so it took her 7 months, but the personal development behind it, the skills that she acquired, took her years, right? So it doesn't take a lot of work to become successful. It takes a lot of personal development, right? Which means your mindset, your habits, everything around it, your beliefs, your principles, your values, everything around, and the base on which you're going to build a business. She spent 15 years building those, right? So 1 million isn't impressive at all. And so in this video, for example, I'm exactly trying to teach you that base. What are some of the beliefs, some of the principles that I've used and that you can use yourself to build that base, so that when you actually put in the work on top of it, you're going to get results financially so much quicker. Make sense? Awesome. Now, next one, number 4. This is actually a very, very hard one, and I've done that mistake and it cost me a lot of money. Never let ego be the goal. And what I mean by that is, you're never actually going to say, hey, my ego is the goal. But your ego is always hidden behind a facade of something that you want, which might be status, or recognition, or validation. In whatever case that is, you know exactly when it is ego and when not, when it rationally doesn't make sense. And I remember it was a while ago, I was trying to scale a business from basically 2K to 20K. So at 10x, right? Which sounds, well, fair enough. But now if I tell you we were trying to do it in 90 days, it sounds a little bit crazy. And it was crazy. It wasn't smart at all, because it, hypothetically speaking, is possible to scale that quickly, but you wouldn't retain our clients because you wouldn't have a product that is good enough. But still, it was the goal. And the reason it was the goal is because of my ego going in the way and me wanting to say, hey, I scaled this business to 20K. Instead of actually thinking, and it goes back to the other point I was saying, why you even do it. And I think that is really like building the base is knowing those things. And so never let ego be the goal. You might have a dream life, and that's completely fine. But as soon as ego is the goal, as soon as it doesn't go the way you want to, you take it personally, and that moment everything starts going down. I've seen myself. I burned in that month 15K in ads instead of making those 20K. So it negatively lost a lot of money, like 15K. All right. So number 5, money is a tool and not a goal. This is a belief that I had to change when I started. I saw making 10K per month as the goal, and even then now I see with the environment that I have and the students I teach, well, I want to make 50K a month, right? Well, why? Like, money is just a tool. Like, what will you do with that money, right? And so I understood, and it took me a lot of time to understand this, and actually only after I understood this I made money, which was that you can use money as a tool to either buy time or buy something else. But if you have money as a goal, it's like basically you're trying to hunt for a tool. Like, it's not very, like, what do you actually want? And a better way of putting this in business terms is, if you chase money instead of value, you're never going to get money, because people trade with the tool money for value. So I learned that as soon as my goal became to create value, even this video, creating value, if it hopefully impacts you, is far better than just pursuing money. Because money is just a tool. You can't actually, like, you can print it, but it's a bit hard. Like, it's not very legal. But if you actually want to make money, you have to provide value. And so the goal should be value, it should never be money, right? So never let money be the goal, instead use money as a tool. So the sixth one was one that hit me quite hard beginning this year, which is knowing what you want is 90% of getting there. And I think you can start to feel that there's a repeated theme around the core problem that I face, and honestly all of my students face, and everyone else I know in business faces, which is knowing what you want and why you want it. Because sometimes you want certain things and you don't even know why, or in other cases, right, you don't even know what you want. I remember a student, and I don't want to say his name, but he wanted to make money. And like, what exactly do we want? Well, I want to make money. Like, how much? Well, I don't know. I'm like, how are you ever going to get to a place if you don't know where the place is? Like, for real, if you're trying to go to Paris, but you don't know you want to go to Paris, you're not going to go to Paris because you don't know you want to go to Paris, if that makes sense. So, knowing what you want and why you want it is 90% of getting there. Because now you just have to find the how, which is honestly, like we said, the simplest way, the simple thing. So, and seventh, this has actually been also a very, very deep one, which is your goal doesn't have to be anyone else's. What I mean by that is, as soon as I hit the beautiful 10K per month, I was like, well, I'm not that satisfied actually. I work like a crazy dog, and I don't even need that money. So, why work? And it got to a point where, like, you could offer me money and I didn't even want it. Like, I just wanted to have my time back. Because I was trading my time for money, right? Like we said before, you can trade money for time and time for money. And it wasn't worth it. And it was a very hard time to realize that I necessarily didn't have to have the same goal as other people. And just because others thrive for 10K per month, or other people wanted to make 25K per month or whatever, I didn't have to have it. Like, the way I run my business now, I'm the most happy person alive. My return on time is excellent. Like, I make a lot of money for the time I put in, which is exactly what I wanted. So, of course, hypothetically speaking, I could put more time, I will make more money, which is the case, right? And I've made over 6 figures. But I choose not to, because I don't need that extra amount of money. So I make enough, and I don't trade time, I can do whatever I want. And so that is my goal right now, and it might change. But the real hard part was to understand that, and it comes back to that other story, which was that I wanted to scale from 2K to 20K. Right? It wasn't for myself, it was just for the validation, and that I'm a great entrepreneur, and that, you know, I achieved those dreams that everyone wants. But I didn't even want to make 20K. And now, I don't make 20K, but because I don't want to make 20K. I can easily do it because I've done it with 4 businesses per month, scaled them to over 10K per month. I can, but I don't want to anymore. And I'm more than happy with what I'm doing right now. And I'm growing it slowly. And I'm really happy. And so knowing what you want is important. Because you say, well, I want those Lamborghinis that they, for example, Iman Gadzhi and everyone else has, Andrew Tate and whatever, whoever else you follow. But do you actually want their life? I don't. And if I do not want their life, or if I don't want it right now, then I shouldn't do the things to get that if I don't want it. Does that make sense? So it's really, really fundamental stuff. But if you apply those principles, I'm going to tell you, first, you're going to be more happy. Secondly, you're gonna find more enjoyment in your work, and you're gonna work with purpose. And thirdly, you're also gonna get there quicker. Eighth, which is knowing human nature, is like being able to read while no one else can. And this has been a deep passion of mine, to understand how humans work. Because you can see this has literally been all of this video so far, basically a reflection of how irrational and how unlogical the things we do actually are, and how profound the problems are, and we never actually go to them, right? And so, for example, there's a good book I can highly recommend you, which is Robert Greene. He's a really good author, and he has the book, you might know him, 48 Laws of Power, but I think he has an even better one, which is called The Laws of Human Nature. Because understanding human psychology is like basically being able to cheat. Because you understand why people do certain things. Right? I understand why people want to make 10K per month. I understand it. And so if I understand it, I have a competitive advantage of everyone else that doesn't. And most people do not understand human beings. Right? Because it's not very beautiful, to be fair. So, investing time in understanding psychology, like reading psychology or learning sales, is one of the best things you can possibly do. And now coming to the last one, which I have discovered to be the most important in my life, which I never valued before. And actually there's a little story of that. So it has been about 2 years. So in the first year I started my business, I had a mentor, and he wasn't that good, to be fair. Like mentally it was really like bad for me. And he told me family isn't important, friends is important, you should do work, and you should work all the time. And so over the long run I started to, remove myself from family, from friends, from everything, and just work in a cave. But firstly, I didn't make any more money. And secondly, I started to be a really awful person. And I was miserable. And that is my 9th point for today. And I think the most important thing that I see today, which is that human relationship is the only true fulfillment. Because in the end, with all the money that you have, if you die alone or if you live a life alone, is it really worth it? If you're never going to be loved by a wife or by a partner, or by your family, by your kids, if you're working all the time and you never see your kids growing up, what money is going to bring you? They're unhappy anyway, they don't like you. So, do you want to buy your own kids? Do you want to buy a wife that loves you? That doesn't work. A family that supports you, a friends that you can enjoy time with, a community that you relate to, a religion that you're part of. And I think that's really what is going to be more important than ever, especially in the time of AI, is valuing human relationships and investing in them. And today that's what I do. And sometimes on the short horizon, I don't see the return. I don't see the return of spending time with my family or with friends. Of course I don't see it. Because there is no direct return on time and effort and money of me investing time with my family. But what is the return? The moment the business goes south, I have people I can lean back on. I have people I can ask for help. And I think that's truly what has been a problem in society worldwide. That we are being pushed to being strong as a person instead of being strong as a group, as a family, as a collective of human relationships. And I think if you put that early enough in your mind of learning how to build human relationships, because that's what is important. Today you might have a bad environment, but if you are able to learn how to build human relationships with no matter who, even if it's a barkeeper, or it's a cleaner, or it's a billionaire, right? If you learn how to build human relationships with others, I think you will be successful. Because that's my plan, and I think it's going to work out, because it has worked out so far. So I hope this video really helped you. And I want you to deeply reflect on it. Because watching is half of the job. The other half is for you to really dig deep and make it your principles. So that you can say of yourself all the pain you went through. Because I did went through so much pain. And you're gonna go through pain. But hopefully less pain. Or you're gonna get through that faster by listening to people like myself who have done it before. So, I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the next one. Namaste.